scale collaboration and crisis management. Just a few words about François Charrois. He's a professor at University of Nancy, Lorraine, and it was Nancy, now it is Lorraine. His topic is collaborative systems, and he chaired the group called COAST for collaboration, service, and trust. That is the case, yes. Something to say also, he's the father of Bonita, which is a workflow management system, very known in the industry. And that is. So up to you, François, to present.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so good morning. So I know this is the last day after the gala dinner. We're all a bit tired already. So I will try to use a soft voice and okay, let's start. So I suggest that if you have questions during the talk, you ask for questions so that we have something maybe more dynamic, and I will try to keep up with the time. First, a short introduction about where I come from. So I'm heading the COAST team. COAST is an INRIA and university research team in the lab called L'Oria. Some of you may have heard about it. It's in the northeast of France, because nobody knows where Nancy is, so it's there. The German border, the German border, and the Belgian border as well, in Luxembourg. And we are a pretty large team, like 15, 20 people. And our research topic is web-scale, trustworthy collaborative system. So we are working on collaborative system for a long time now, and we are trying to understand what it means today to collaborate at a larger scale, going from small groups to community of people trying to achieve a common goal. And this applies pretty well to crisis management. And so if you want more information, you have the website and the Twitter handle. And just for the record, this is a list of the members of the team, and I really want to show them because most of what I'm going to present is not actually really my work, but the work done by the people working in the team. So I contribute a little bit, but then I'm doing the advertising part of it. And of course, I'm on stage, so that's the nice thing. And then, what about the presentation? A new partner in this area, which is related to design social computing. We cannot avoid to look at that, which is a crowd, because we are looking also at collaboration between people at a large scale, or coordination of people action at a large scale with solution based on the crowdsourcing, for instance. So since this is you all know a little bit about crisis, I'm not going to spend a lot of time about the phase and so on, except I see that I use the Red Cross graphic, and it's not a problem of this organization is that they have to cooperate together and they have to be ready to cooperate together. So the partner in this kind of a collaboration, you find all the traditional actors, the one that participates to a lot of exercises like police, firefighter, healthcare, hospitals, and military, civil security, Red Cross, and the local civil servants that are involved in crisis management, disaster management. And then you have some ad hoc actors depending on where the crisis occurs, like industry workers, transportation workers when you have to do evacuations, and all kind of NGOs. So these are, let's create a very complex landscape where people have to work together, following some procedure, some process, sometimes to avoid judiciary issues and problems. And yeah. And most of the time, from what we have seen, they use very basic collaboration tools, mostly communication. Communication is really big issues in this area. So they use very traditional one like radio. Radio with a push button is really the basic tool for communication on the field especially. But they use phone is ringing all the time. Email, so you have all the coordination and all the information arriving at like events in the mailbox of people. And sometimes over ICT tools, but the kind of groupware tool, sophisticated groupware tool that some of us are working on for a long time are not very popular because not many people are mastering them very well. You can see that even in the scientific community, a lot of people are still working together and working on paper by sending attachment to emails, which is probably the worst way to collaborate and share a document. But still a lot of people, maybe less in the computer science community, but in any other community, people are still doing that. It's quite a mess. And there are tools for 20 years to avoid doing that, but still people are using these tools. If you have some example of people not using these tools in this area, I would be very happy to hear about that. And it's even messier when the scale increases. When you have these big disasters, then it crosses borders. So you have no more hierarchy. You need to have cooperation, for example, between Germany and France, or yeah, that can happen across organizations, even across regions in some states. across cultures, because it can be also there may be differences in the way people work when they are gathering together on the place where a crisis occurs. Across interests, you know, some NGO, for instance, they try to attract media interest and maybe get more funding, so they may compete on the ground. And you have all kind of political, legal issues, problem of resources when the scale is really big, and also technical problem like interoperability issues. So this is a picture of Patricia hurricane. We were all watching, and it was not as bad as thankfully, it was not as bad as it could have been. But then we could not collect tweets from that hurricane. And what we can notice in the last year, because of the event that occurred, because of the recent trade crisis, we have been obliged to revise some of our view on crisis management from a technical point of view, due to the availability of social media and stuff like that, and the tools that are available today, and also from the sociological point of view, especially in Western countries where we expect that our government are prepared for everything, and we don't like not having electricity for 1 hour or two. So this was especially the case with Hurricane Katrina. You remember this big hurricane south of the US, and this is where they discovered that it's the first country, the richest country in the world, and they were not prepared to face something like that. That was a shock for the country, that thousands of people died, and it cost a lot, and they had a lot of coordination and management problem of this crisis. It was really a big issue, and you could read story, a very sad and problematic story where, for instance, this is a report where rescuers were forced to leave people on highway and people without transportation, food and water. They were really not prepared, and this is where they started to trigger new initiatives to be more prepared for the next time. And in there, we identify some coordination issue at a large scale, especially during the evacuation. And the other one was also a dramatic one, was Haiti earthquake. There it's a really contrast, because in the previous case you had the richest, more advanced, say, country economic in the world, and there you have one of the poorest countries in the world. And with a not so big earthquake, 7.0, it's not very very strong earthquake, but with dramatic effects, thousands, hundreds of thousands of deaths. And the point here is that you would have thousands, hundreds, let's say, organizations getting there and trying to coordinate their actions on the ground. So the country by itself was had no more resources to cope with the issue. And during that crisis, you could see something new, and probably you're aware of that. So as usual in the crisis, the first responders are other people, the people on the ground. They try to save people if they are not hurt or anything like that. They try to help people, neighbors, and so on. But then you had this overwhelming answer from the international community, which causes some problem. Everybody was trying to land on the Haiti airport, and it was a big issue. But this is also the first time, noticeable time, where you would have an important use of social network to try to answer and to respond and help responder to create maps, accurate maps, to see where people would need help, where they could find help, and so on and so on. So that was a very big initiative, and it also changed the way we could look at crisis, where really people were not only using their hands to remove people from fallen houses, but also people from everywhere in the world trying to help and to do something using social media, Twitter, SMS, and so on. So let's create new question for us. And I need to quote, Patrick Meyer, and he wrote a very good book about this story, Digital Humanitarian. If you have the opportunity, try to read. So this, at this scale creates new collaboration challenges. How to make people working together, how to make the best use of resources, human resources, material resources, and so on. And you have a lot of challenges related to the social dimension, organizational and technical dimension, and all kind of issues related to trust, and I will talk about that, security, safety, interoperability, culture, and for the part that we are interested in is scalability. And we are mostly concerned with two important things that you need to do when you try to collaborate: is sharing information and coordinating your action. Coordinating your action. We are not looking at the communication tool because there are a lot of people working on that. So this is not exactly what we are looking at. And this is what I'm going to talk about this morning: the sharing and coordinating, and how we propose to do that, answering the requirement we may have. So about sharing information, so this is something we say is very important when you try to collaborate. So most of the time people, they share information so through email attachments. So this is the worst way to do it. Or now you probably use Dropbox or other tools to share files. Maybe some of you use Git. But what we say is, what we want to be able to do is to do that at a large scale. And I will show you some issues you may have when you try to share documents at a large scale. Maybe the first or the most important one is that you need to trust the collaborator when you share a document with someone. Once you have sent it, or once you put it in Dropbox, share with other people, you don't know what happens to the document. The people, they can share it with other people, or they can take it and send it to people you don't know about. And this is something that is not easy to control. And if you are a small group, you can put some security control and check that to read the document before opening it. If you are a big group, maybe you have already experienced that, it's very difficult to tune the security effect, so that only the right people have access to the right information, and you spend your time to changing the right, because you have always people asking you, I need to access this document, I don't have the access, open the access to me, and you end up giving the access to everybody. And so this is what you can see when you do software development, for instance. You cannot just say this guy has access only to this subset of the file. So you need to trust people with whom you work, but what we say is that you want to control that, but your trust is well given. And we want also to control the data distribution, and in crisis you need also to preserve privacy, because you collect information about people, and that can be also an issue. Well, now I'm going to get into the more technical part to show you how we tackle this problem, and we tackle this problem using sharing with replication. This is nothing new. Replication, so people will have copy of the document. So you don't have a central server, you have or you may have a central server, but everybody can get copy of the document. So you can work on replicas. And so even if the central server is crashing or you don't have access to it, you can still working. And sharing a replication, it's scaled better than sharing the central server, and it's even scaled with the size of the geographical area. The problem with replicas is consistency, maintenance between the replica, because it's not just like sharing a file that is not changed, never changed. It's sharing files that are changed all the time, and so you want to be sure that everybody at some point gets the same view of the copy. So this is where you can use that for collaborative editing applications. I don't know how many of you use Google Docs, for instance, or yeah, everybody uses Google Docs? No? Yeah? Yes.
What is Etherpad?
Etherpad is another collaborative editor. Editor.
It's open.
That one is open source. Etherpad.
It's open source.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. It's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. Yeah. But it does not scale. Because they are very centralized systems. So there are all kinds, so you probably know that there are all kinds of use for collaborative editing, report writing, transcriptions, translation, note taking. Nobody is doing that yet, but in some conference you can see people sharing a pad and taking notes about presentation during the conference, and you may also have students doing that during lectures. It's not working very well, but sometimes if you grade the note taking, they can do that pretty well. So this is the main application, but there are all kinds of applications for that. And by real time, we say, so if you have used Google Docs, you know that when you type a letter on one screen, it appears after some time eventually on all other screens. And real time is not well defined here, but it means that it's going to happen in a few seconds at most. The problem of this technology is centralized control. So today, you can use some people hosting Etherpad, or you can use Google Docs, you can use Office today as well. But that means that you give your data to a third party. So this creates issue about privacy, and mostly for us, the main issue is that you have scalability issue if you try. So Google Docs has a 50 simultaneous user limit. So if you start to be not even 50, but you see what can happen. So if too many students, for instance, this is what happened. Too many students acceding to the same document, then it hangs and you can't work anymore with it. So this is the sharing limit, but actually it's a problem even before. I will show you some number later. And you also, due to these performance issues, you can find some, or you can see some other artifacts. There we have conducted some experiments with several users, and we were trying to understand what means real time for collaborative editing. So we were having users working together, and we were introducing delay in the propagation of operation. So like 2, 4, 6.
I imagine that we cannot have a group of 50 users collaborating with effective collaboration, synchronous collaboration like that. More than 10, we have even to manage the group and the interaction. Here it's a technical challenge.
Yeah.
But in real life, do we need to get 10, 50 users simultaneously on the same document? That is my... technically, yes, but in real life, I have Kubernetes. I'm used to use it in my classrooms and so on. I make smaller groups.
Yeah.
In my mind, when I make even in a few feet and down, not more than 10. I usually limit 5 to 6 and stop with the limit of 10 people per document, let's say, to share and to interact. In the terms of interaction being too much in synchronous collaboration, I think it, so my question about the usage and the real scenarios of use. The
Okay.
technical side, I agree, but...
Thank you so much for the question, because I like it. This is actually the question we have all the time. So we are working on collaborative editing for like 20 years.
Yes.
And at the beginning, when we were presenting our algorithm and talking about that, people say, nobody wants to work with 2 people on the same document at the same time.
We need.
Yeah, but at the time, I mean, this was the question. Who wants to do that? I'm happy with attachment. I'm happy with...
I understand your answer, yes. Okay.
And actually, we have, during discussion with people, we have seen some people trying to remove the 30 or 50 user constraints because they were actually using it like that. They were using to work on there was the guy using it like that was an activist. So, you know, trying to write a petition or trying to, funny story was they were trying also to coordinate actions. So everybody was adding to the same document what I'm going to bring for the protest, where it's going to stay, what do we need, and so on and so on, who is going to participate. And so they were using Featherfile for that, but they were facing the limit of the number of people. So, of course, it's not easy to do, and we want to provide the right tool to do it. But what we notice is that people are getting used to these tools, and now they imagine other ways to use them. There is an appropriation process, and then they are facing these limits. So what we anticipate is that need is
New needs, emerging needs.
yeah, emerging need. It's there.
Okay.
It's going to be.
Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, there is another story with a MOOC, and so the MOOC is a large, massive, open course, and the teacher, they wanted students to work by pairs, so they opened a shared Excel file, and so they asked create the pair in the Excel file. And then every other student, they rushed, it was, I don't know, several thousand, and the Excel file crashed like that. And then the course was cancelled because everybody was pissed off and not happy, they could not create the groups and so on. So you find these kind of use cases. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm very confident that people have more imagination than I have in myself, so they will find ways to give them the right tools to do it. But we need also to understand what will be the issue. One of them is performances, and there you see what we were doing was asking some students, so some participants to the experiment, not only students, to correct spelling mistake in a French document. And we were adding that delay. And the more delay, the more we could see things like that, where 2 people were correcting the same error. So maybe you cannot see that. So there it's written interface with 2 S, 2 S. So everybody was replacing S by C, and then you would have 2C in the end. Because the first one would do the change, but the other one would not see the change for 6 or 8 seconds. So and same the second one, they change the F. So these are the kinds of issues you can have with performance and number of people. So we are working, it's just to show you a little bit what kind of algorithm we are developing, working. You replicas, and you have the value, and then you want to add operation to them. So for instance, here the operation is to insert a Y in second position, and there the other operation is to delete the sixth character, so you want to remove the S. So there is the result on this replica after the application of this operation, and there is the result of the value of the replica of the operation. But adding a character here, you have to remove the N, and it's not what you want. And there is okay, there's no issue. So this is why we have what we call operation transformation. Is that when you propagate, you transform them with some kind of if you want to know more about that, I can give you some good references.
Is it much more simple to centralize modification?
So the problem if you centralize modification, and then if you resolve, so first you have a problem of ordering, but if you centralize the modification, you face the problem of scalability.
Well, if it avoids